Might have needed an extra box on that one. Typically I have a 35-minute rule in the bee yard before the bees actually find you for robbing during this season. Today it looks like it's going to be a 15-minute rule, so we got to be pretty quick on the work that we do here. Just, you know, once we end the yard, there's a bit of robbing, a little bit annoying, so we don't want to be too much longer, otherwise it becomes a cloud of bees and just unbearable. So we're pulling off honey, that's the main thing. That's very positive. Got a truckload that we're pulling off there, and we're using escapes. We're pushing them right down into the single box. It's working very well. As we put the escapes in, these hives are really full of brood and pollen, so we have to make sure that they don't starve. So I'm assessing the nest for honey, making sure they have a frame of honey in there just to make sure they don't go into starvation mode. And we set out a tote of syrup just to give the bees access to some kind of food source. And that does two things. It just provides nourishment for these colonies to make sure they don't starve, make sure we don't set them back a little bit. And it also, what it does is it just ignites that cycle within the colony. So the foragers go out, collect this syrup, they bring it in, and it just sparks up those processor bees to, you know, to gather that payload from the front step and just energize the workforce to get that hive moving, get it cycling. So that processors will come down, accept the payload, but they can't get back up through the escape. So by putting that escape in, it completely removes the honey boxes from the function of that colony, moves all the bees down into the bottom chamber very effectively, and kind of packs them in, kind of like what you see here. So that works really well. So then we come around and we pull the honey. We just kind of strip the yard of boxes with the arm. That's very quick work. It takes us about 20 minutes. And when we set the boards, we have pails set to the side, these little gallon pails ready to go. So when we come strip the boxes off, we have these pails and we just slap them on the colonies right away before we leave, and that gives them a gallon of feed to feast on. We could set more open feed up, and that's nothing wrong with that. That works very well. Just this gallon just ensures that there is, we're just taking that extra step to make sure every colony has that little bit of feed in there. When they're this big, like we have big colonies this year, and I set only one tote out because I don't want to plug them up, so I can't set out 3 or 4 totes. So we set one tote out and they start fighting, and they fight and they fight and they drown, and it just makes a little higher bee loss. So because we have colonies that are maybe just a little bit bigger, we're putting pails on just to cut back on the fighting a little bit. As you can see, these colonies are full of bees, of course, but you'll notice they're not bearding, much the same as they were earlier last week. They're all fitting into the boxes now. You can see just a little bit of bearding. And the reason for that is timing. We have to appreciate the seasonal timing of what's going on in these colonies. I was getting a little bit of pushback about not providing enough space for my bees, shoving them all into one box. But maybe, you know, I was maybe anticipating my timing just a little bit then, where there are a lot of bees. I maybe had another week and a half of hive to be able to collect honey for me, but I ran out of flowers and I had the bees, so it's just the way things worked out. But now, you know, that huge foraging force is naturally dying off, and since the beginning of August, that queen has been decreasing her laying within the nest, which naturally decreases the amount of bees to replace the foragers as they die off. So as you can see, this yard is fairly comfortable. Once we've stirred them up with a bit of smoke and a bit of work here, so they're a little bit more, you know, busy in the front. But once we leave, and tonight, they'll nicely fit into that box. At any rate, looks like my guys here, my oldest daughter, my oldest son there, and they've been doing a lot of work for me this last couple days. And it looks like they've naturally finished up the work in this yard while I yap on this video. So we are going to head off to the next yard and fill that truck up. Coronavirus, right? Get back to work. cappings right down from the top. I have bees. I have bees. Come you guys never say anything funny when the camera's on?
It's hot.
It's hot. It's hot.